Podcast brought to you by Read More Media.
Welcome to Obsessively Ever After. I'm Alexa Martin. I am a romance writer, romance lover, romance watcher.
I'm Amber, also a romance author, content creator, and I'm honestly just here for the happily ever afters.
Yes, we love an HEA. We love it so much that we've decided we want to indulge in all of them.
Yes. Actually, we honestly just wanted an excuse to justify watching romance movies for multiple hours every weekend.
Correct. I can close my door and say, don't bother me, kids, I'm working.
I'm literally at work and you need to respect my artistry.
How else am I supposed to grow if I can't indulge in the classics?
Honestly, this was the only way forward.
Exactly. And to go forward, first we're starting by going back to the early 2000s.
Honestly, it was quite a time.
We didn't know at the time what we were watching. And some things that you thought you loved, you watch and you might gasp because you did not realize they said that. And that you probably laughed at it in the movie theater, which is really,
really bad. I don't think we invented nuance until like 2017. So it's not even our fault.
And we really decided to start the show off with a bang, to dive into something so incredible that really I didn't even know that I needed this.
This movie, I don't know if I could say that it like was the balm that I needed for this winter break, but it did something for me. I still cannot tell you if that was a positive thing or a negative thing. I don't know if I've progressed or regressed as a woman, but I did have a time.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's December 2003. Saddam Hussein has just been captured during Operation Red Dawn.
Naturally.
Just as importantly, Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie have debuted The Simple Life. And in a time that you can't even believe, Nick Cannon is our romance hero. That's right, Nick Cannon.
The father of many nations himself. So this movie takes place, it was released at least in 2003. How old was Nick Cannon in 2003?
I don't know. I was a junior in high school when this came out. Amber's younger. Amber, how old are you?
I will refrain from disclosing how old I was in 2003. How old was? Oh yeah, I was 10.
Okay, whatever.
93 stand up. But also Christina Milian, I did look this up, was 22 when this movie was released.
Christina Milian, perfect romance heroine. I think we still see that now. We'll have to watch her Netflix one. Do you know that she has that Netflix movie where she gets a inn in New Zealand? I think it's in New Zealand. She moves to New Zealand and gets an inn and then falls in love with the guy helping her remodel it. We'll have to watch that one too because that one is so good.
OMG.
Okay. I don't think we said the name of this movie. We are watching Love Don't Cost a Thing.
Starring Nick Cannon and Christina Milian. And I can confirm that Nick Cannon was 23 years old when this movie came out.
Okay, this feels fair. Have you watched the new remake of Gossip Girl? There's no way.
No, I refuse.
They're 35 playing teenagers.
But that was such a thing with Black, I feel like specifically rom-coms, but movies in general. They always get older Black actors and actresses to play teenagers. Gabrielle Union in Bring It On is 28.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. 22, 23 doesn't feel too far removed from high school.
Yeah.
It's close enough. Okay.
Okay.
So this is our first episode, but as we're doing this, we didn't do our highs and lows. So each week to start, we'll read the synopsis of the movie, and then we'll kind of dive into our very intellectual thoughts.
Yeah.
My professional opinions.
I am officially a movie critic, so entering a new era of my professional life. Let me prep my LinkedIn, honestly.
Yeah, let's add that. Let's update our resumes. Okay. So, Love Don't Cost a Thing. High school senior Alvin Johnson, Cannon, a likable social outcast with a natural talent for building automobile engines, has his sights set on finally becoming one of the cool kids. When Paris Morgan, Milian, the most popular girl in school, wrecks her mother's car, Alvin sees this as his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and steps in with a plan. In exchange for Alvin's automotive expertise and her needed car parts, Paris agrees to let people believe that they are dating for 2 weeks. Alvin's dream is realized when his association with Paris leads him to the heights of popularity unimagined as the school's new cool kid. Unfortunately, Alvin loses himself in his newfound popularity and runs the risk of losing his real friends, his chance for a scholarship, and a shot at a real relationship with the girl of his dreams. Love don't cost a thing.
It's giving classic cinema, honestly.
It is. We did learn this is a remake of the 1987 movie Can't Buy Me Love, I think.
Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey.
With Patrick Dempsey. Romance hero of the times. So it is giving classic rom-com vibes, right? Like there's lots of tropes, fake dating immediately off the bat. The like opposites attract kind of thing. Like there's a lot of tropes just
honestly like a little bit of forbidden love too, because it's like you're so popular, he's so dorky, all of that. But unfortunately, that is the majority of what the film brings to the table because it all goes downhill from there.
Okay. So
you jump into it?
Yeah, let's get it started. It starts with Nick Cannon riding through California on his scooter.
As one does. With
a utility belt full of pool cleaning supplies. Just so we automatically know that he is nerdy. I think the first 30 minutes of the movie are just like every nerdy stereotype thrown in. So you'd be like, no, look, he's a loser. He is a dork. He likes
just to remind you. Honestly, like the whole first sequence is so quintessentially early 2000s. Like, let me confirm what a loser this person is. Like anything clumsy or bad that can happen happens to him within the first 45 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, it's really intense. He's like singing Michael Jackson, which does that age well? I don't know.
At
the pool. And then he goes to Paris's house where they're having a party.
Right.
A pool party where nobody's in the pool because he's like,
not one person.
I can still clean the pool. And she's like,
do you know what that scene though, what it made me wonder? Because I feel like in movies traditionally, when the one character is like super dorky, at least the adults are like super endearing to them. But like her mom also treats him like he's kind of a loser. So like not even the adults are fucking with this boy.
My favorite part of this scene is how the fashion just immediately takes you back to the early 2000s.
When
so many visors.
The skirts are all like, no one skirt is longer than 2 inches long. So many belts.
The lowest on your hips they could possibly be.
The lowest of rises. All of the lip gloss is clear. All the hats are slightly tilted to the side. I think there was a jersey dress at one point.
Oh, I took a note of that. Yes, there is a jersey. There's a lot jerseys. A lot of Sean John.
Was it sponsored by Sean John? And I mean, wow, that aged poorly. But like, it literally felt at one point that it was sponsored by Sean John. But then there was awkwardly like that designer, like when he goes to school the one day and they're like, oh, I like your outfit. He's like Gucci, Prada, Fendi, Burberry. I'm like, Burberry. You are in 11th grade.
Also, everybody, your whole family is poor. So like, where did it come from? And your Burberry hat is very clear. None of those seams line up. That is not real.
Your dad is Steve Harvey. You're not wearing Gucci.
Yes, his dad is Steve Harvey. So, okay. So they're at the pool party. Everybody's mean to him. He has this also feels like very rom-com, like dream sequence, but like as he's there, where like
learn very early on, Paris is that girl. That's what I said in my note. Paris is that girl.
She is that girl. She is that girl. And where everybody else in this movie is kind of an asshole, she is not.
She is not.
And I maintain that through the entire movie.
I agree.
I know like Nick is supposed to be the nice, likable one. Don't like him. 0 stars for Alvin. Alvin sucks.
0 out of 10 would not recommend. But what I also thought was interesting about Paris is that even though she is that girl, she's not necessarily like the leader of her friend group. Like they kind of run her.
It is like
that's what it is.
There's no friend group. There's no loyalty.
All hate each other. It's like worse than the Mean Girls trio. Like they legitimately all hate each other. And I want to talk about the problematic white girl in the friend group who is just so problematic. And I was probably like, oh, that's cool. When I watched this at 10, I was probably like, oh, I know a girl like that. What the words that she says? I'm like, who gave her the script?
The words that all of them say. I don't want to shame writers. The I did write down multiple quotes. Let's see.
Oh, same.
Where is one?
The first quote that I have written in my notes is, "She's like a frappuccino with hips."
Oh, I wrote that one down too. I like in this scene where somebody's looking at Paris and they say, "Chicks like Paris don't date outside the NBA." Because at the beginning of this movie, Paris is dating her high school sweetheart who is now in the NBA. And kind of the inciting incident here, which also kind of is not, a lot of things happen that are not acknowledged. Like,
Yeah.
we need to like put that. Like,
there are a lot of plot holes, several plot holes, but that's fine.
Holes. That's what she said. So her and her friends that are not her friends are watching him on TV doing an interview. And for some reason, the interviewer goes, "You must have a girl back home." And so she gets her phone and immediately texts him and says,
no, she pages him because it's 2003.
Oh, yeah. Paged him. She gets her phone. She doesn't text him. She pages him. Paged him. He does not call back. Then we flash to the next day in school where she is walking through the school in a skirt that is a jersey, but it's a skirt.
Yes, that was what it was. Yes.
With his name ironed on her shirt, Drew.
Honestly, if my man was a skirt, it would be that skirt.
This whole outfit, she is giving WAG realness. This is, if you are following Taylor and Travis, this is what she is giving in that movie. When Taylor shows up at these games with everything, you know, like the 87 hats and the necklaces and the earrings, this is what Paris is giving.
Hardcore.
2003 version. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening there. And so then we're watching, she's in the cool kids hallway because there's multiple hallways.
The school is segregated by popularity. It's cool kids to the left, nerds to the right. Everyone else kind of walks in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
No one goes to class either, which is like quintessential rom-com school. They're always at school, but they're never in school.
And the one scenes that they have in the class is when he like burns the sweatshirt.
Yes.
So just like, again, to reinforce, and it's like science, right? Like,
yes,
you have to show that he's a nerd.
So nerdy, so smart, so dedicated to science. He actually only takes science.
So we see Nick Cannon with his friends, which is Kenan Thompson. Who I will never will I say a bad word about Kenan Thompson.
I honestly feel that we give a lot to Pharrell for being ageless, but so is Kenan. Because you could tell me that Kenan Thompson at this movie is 24 or 204, and I would believe you.
I agree 1,000%.
He's like a myth. He's just always been.
Yeah. I do have to say, they did really give us some racial diversity in this movie because
they said we need to make the Bratz dolls of friend groups. We want one of each.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so in like the nerdy group, there's Nick Cannon, Kenan,
Kal Penn,
who honestly could get it.
Honestly, like I enjoy every time he pops up in a movie. Where is his rom-com?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very valid question. Yeah. Maybe we'll be the ones to get to the bottom of that.
Yes, we'll have to look at it because what if he has one? Oh, I hope he has one. We can watch it. And then a blonde white boy who I do not know who he is.
I won't even pretend to know who he is, but I was so happy to see him round out our diverse group, our UN group. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And they all build their cars together and are a very cute little group. And so Nick Cannon, he is trying to get the scholarship, right?
Yes. And he's super smart. He's into cars, and he's literally building a car, and that build of the car is going to get him this mega scholarship.
He's building an engine.
Yes.
And then him and his friends are building like a car where they're putting like
it's basically the Pimp My Ride of cars. Yes, it's like soda machine, MacBook on the dash, all the above.
Yes. And so after Christina Milian's like walking through school, she's like, it feels like everybody saw. And her friends are like, they did. It was on ESPN. Like do not make her feel better at all. So then she hate her. Yes, because they hate her a lot.
A lot.
Really a lot. And then she gets back home and her mom's going out of town. And she's like, but don't drive my car, Paris. You are not on my insurance.
She's
So, of
supposed to
course,
just put her mom's car in the garage for her. But weird. So the man that her mom kisses when she leaves, is that not Paris's dad? Because at first I thought it was her brother, but then she like open mouth kisses him. So I'm like, who is this small, frail young man?
yeah, I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what's happening with Paris.
Unexplained plot line.
Really, her home life is kind of a mystery because also later in the movie, she's driving a car. So like, is she just not on your insurance for one car? Because usually, like, you put your kids on your insurance, aren't they just like on your insurance? It
I would
doesn't really
assume.
matter which car you drive, right?
Also, in the movie, she drives a very nice car. So even if you just wanted to take your mom's car because it's like an Escalade, you have a very nice car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you could have just drove your nice car.
Yeah. Well, so then she goes and picks up her friends in the Cadillac Escalade because, like, of course, she has to like
the
drive
official car of the early 2000s.
Not yes, and and they like are driving in front of like the party, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at Paris!" And they're just like, "Yeah, keep driving." And then Drew, her NBA boyfriend, calls her.
Of course, he does.
And as they're on the phone, Champagne Girl pops through the window. Please tell me you took notice of who Champagne Girl was.
How could I not notice the iconic lead singer of the dynamic girl group, the Pussycat Dolls, who came to ruin Paris's life?
Ruin her life and offer him champagne. Nicole Schwarzenegger.
Who was great in a group, but, you know, kind of flopped solo. And that just goes to show that sometimes the power of the group is really what you need.
Love a girl group.
But this scene does give us a very iconic girl group reference. Did you notice that? Where Paris is screaming, "Say my name, say my name." I was like, oh my gosh, the early 2000s, like magic is writing itself. We're getting this Pussycat Dolls to Destiny's Child movement. Swoon. I loved it. No notes.
He does not say her name. And so then she obviously crashes the car.
Of course, her mama's car. That is my note. It literally says, "Oh no, Paris done crashed her mama's car."
Wait, also, when she's wearing the jersey skirt, sorry, just to take it back because I'm looking at my notes, that's when Nick and his friends are in the hallway and they say, "She's like a frappuccino with hips." That is what
does that even mean?
Tasty.
But I feel like I just need to think you deserve more than just the hips. Like if you're I don't know. I just think we need to revisit how we're approaching these descriptions of women. Maybe.
There's a lot of problematic. This whole movie is just a testament to toxic masculinity, really.
1000%. 1000%.
So she crashes the car and there's no insurance. So then she takes to get fixed and it's going to be $3,000 and it's going to take 3 weeks to get fixed.
But she only has like 3 days because her mom is coming back on Monday.
Yes. $3,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money now. But in 2003, like that is like a lot of money.
It's a ton of money.
Yeah. And as she's at the car repair person, Alvin is there too.
The mechanic.
Thank you so much. Words are hard. We learned that.
Shout out to the writers.
I will not say them correctly. I will not pronounce them correctly. And I won't know them off the top of my head. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I respect that. How I work. So as she's at the mechanic, Alvin is also there because he's picking up the $1,500 piece that he needs for his engine to go to college.
Literally for the betterment of his whole future. And also, can we just talk about the fact that he was coming to the mechanic to pick up his $1,500 part, which he was going to pay for with a wad of cash. My man was not writing a check. There was no card. He said, "I have small bills only. Give me what I came for."
He got from cleaning pools on his scooter because his dad does not help him with anything.
Steve Harvey is only good for one thing, and that is condoms. That is Steve Harvey's entire role in the film.
Yes, truly. And like licking his lips.
Licking his lips and telling everyone the importance of, quote unquote, scratching that kitty. Yeah. Which truly sounds like a miserable experience.
Really
can I be vulnerable and transparent for a moment? So I've grown a lot since I had these thoughts and feelings.
Okay.
But the Steve Harvey Show was a big part of my life.
Okay, that's fair. It was listen, 90s sitcoms.
Yes. They did it for me.
Everything that they should, like, they deserve the
However, and this is where you're going to judge me. I thought Steve Harvey was the most attractive man I've ever seen in my life. I loved everything about him. I love the big suits. I love the mustache. I love the haircut. I know that I was 10 years old watching this movie, salivating over this man. Because 48-pound Nick Cannon did nothing for me. But Steve?
Is this your Like Mike? Because if we can discuss Like Mike, where small Alexa was just like Bow Wow and Morris Chestnut in one movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I see that. I get that. That's a pretty intense lineup of man.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah, at one point, Steve Harvey was my Roman Empire. And I'm not ashamed, but I'm not proud either.
Thank you for being vulnerable. It's hard for me to hear, but
I hope we can continue this relationship after, because I have grown. But that is the foundation of who I am.
That explains a lot. It
really does.
It's not expecting that, but
anyway, we're at the mechanic.
We're at the mechanic where Nick Cannon is getting the piece that is literally going to get him into college because his parents can't afford it otherwise. No. And Nick, being trash, goes, or I could blackmail basically the squirrel and be like, I see that you're in trouble. I'm going to give up my college opportunity and dreams. And I see that you're in a bind. I will do it for you, but only if you pretend to date me. Listen, now, I get that fake dating is a trope, but I was like, this is manipulative as fuck.
It's very shady. But let me tell you, not only is he going to, because you may be thinking, okay, he has $1,500. Doesn't she owe $3,000? Well, the remaining $1,500 is just the labor, which he is also going to do, because on top of not getting this piece so he can go to college, he's also going to dedicate the rest of his time to doing the actual manual labor for her.
Yes. So
it's just all around bad choices.
Through the deal, we see this like montage of him fixing the car with like the pieces that he's ordered. And in it, he says that he doesn't want to buy her. He wants to rent her.
Rent her. Like, sir.
It is
sir.
2 weeks, no sex. Christina Milian is very. Also, though, she goes to school and is just like in on it. But like, we still have no idea. There's no resolution. Like, is she still with her boyfriend or not? Like, they just completely... That does not exist anymore. Like, he was kind of a jerk, but like, we don't know. Did they break up? Did any conversation happen after that?
I assume that they changed their Facebook relationship status to "it's complicated."
Facebook did not exist in 2003. And
oh my God, you're right.
Only for college students with college email addresses.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Neither one of them were in college.
No.
So
yeah, that is very unclear. Also, can we talk about the fact that when he first proposes the arrangement to her, he says, I need this for a couple of months. The school year is only a couple of months. So like, what are you asking for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, he wants to rent her. He's convinced this is going to work. And then when he shows up the next day, she's like trying to make him look cooler, which she accomplishes by giving her a Sean John sweatshirt.
Yes.
And pulling his pants down so he can have saggy jeans. That is what makes you cool.
Honestly, though, I kind of live for the early 2000s, like makeover montages. And that was like the intro to his makeover montage.
Harlow, my 14-year-old daughter, was watching this with me and said, I just want to wax his eyebrows.
Yeah, his unibrow was incredibly unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like, and then Harlow, speaking of fashion, Harlow also said the scene where Paris is fixing Nick's outfit and she's wearing like a khaki jacket and khaki capris. Harlow said, I love her fit. So listen, 2003, 2023, Paris.
20 years later.
Always just stays winning.
Honestly, a lot of early 2000s style was like, what if we took these uniforms that they wear in prison, but like put a brand name on them? And I can't say that we're not going back to that. Like, we're all about a matching set. We love, like, cargos are back. Khakis are back. It's giving, like, Sean John velour.
Yeah. Oh, which he does wear velour sweatsuits throughout the movie.
So much velour.
So she meets him outside and, like, brings him to school. And he, like, does this weird walk that he thinks is cool, apparently.
It's the kind of walk you do when your dad is Steve Harvey, honestly.
So bad. And then he goes to sit with her at lunch. And Ted is mad. Ted
is the worst. Like,
Ted is a villain. Ted needs a life. He is so upset about the hallways and the bleachers and the
he's
lunch
like,
table.
how dare you desegregate our segregated school? It is nerds to the left, and you are here on the right.
You cannot sit here. Then Yvonne, who is the black girl in her friend group, because so like Christina Milian's like she's black and Latina, or she's just what?
No, I think she's black and Latina.
Okay, so she's like Latina, and they have the black girl and they have the white girl. So Yvonne is the black girl and who's got really cute braids. Honestly,
such cute braids. Honestly, I remember I had those braids and I got so mad because I really wanted the little page boy hat that like they all wore in the music videos to go over my braids. And my mom was like, give it up. Like, no.
Yeah, and she was wearing the page boy hats a lot throughout. There's so many hats. I kind of wanted
a lot of hat culture. A lot of bandana culture. Oh my God, if we would have done a hat tracker.
Like
imagine if there was like a drinking game. Take a drink anytime you see a hat. Take a drink anytime they say Sean John.
I would still be asleep.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
I would be dead. Correct. Alcohol poisoning. But so Yvonne is like, they say you're like your friends or whatever, right? Like kind of being like, how come you're hanging around with this loser? You're going to be a loser now too. You're not going to be allowed in our hallways. And that Paris says, tell me who your friends are, Yvonne, and I'll tell you who you want to be. And honestly,
who you want to be. Maya Angelou shook. She has like, it's giving bars.
A bird. I was like, okay, all right. Again, because Paris Morgan, the popular girl who is still like nice, right? Like even when he didn't have this deal, she was like sticking up for those nerds for walking in the wrong hallway, right? Like she was just kind of nice the whole time. Like she doesn't really fit in.
I feel like this was a good way to make her like not like other girls without making her that insufferable, not like other girls. Like she was literally not like them because they were terrible people. And she still had like some redemption in her.
Yes, she did. And then my next note in here, Kal Penn must have shown up, is Kal Penn, still hot. So
wow. Okay. All right.
Really,
you're not wrong.
Really good notes that I was taking because really he's like also not buying any of the shits.
No.
He's not buying any of the shits.
Do you think it was weird that Alvin didn't like confront in his real friends what he was doing?
Wait, I'm so sorry. So
do you think it was weird that Alvin never confided in his real friends about what he was doing?
The scenes with Alvin and his real friends are the scenes that I think were the hardest for me to watch, where
there were only 3 of them.
Paid this girl, blackmailed her to date him, and then was basically spreading rumors that he was sleeping with her and letting his friends think that they were sleeping together, and was just like in on it. And they were talking about her in such like a vile, gross way. And he was supposed to be the nice guy, but he was just like,
they were all though, like even Keenan talks about women like they are objects, and he's supposed to be like the nice nerd.
Yeah. I feel like I think maybe that's why I like Kal Penn the most, is because he seemed the most like just not with any of the shit. And I
100%. Yeah. I feel like so if this was a romance novel, I feel like when there's a fake dating thing, they always have the one best friend who they can confide in that this is fake dating. And that is the person that's going to be like, no, it's not fake anymore. You love them. And I think that if he would have told, even if he just told one of them what he was doing, it would have like maybe helped the pacing, because then it's like you actually like made the fake dating 20 seconds. If that 20 seconds in movie time is 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But like it would have just made it feel like more of a real plot point and not just something that they did overnight, because it felt so rushed.
Yeah. And she didn't have anybody. I feel like even though she was the best character, there wasn't like a ton of agency for her. Like it was just like her reacting to what other people were doing to her. She wasn't really making her
She needed a sister. Or a more present mother, because her mom is like also never around.
Yes. She needed somebody. She needed a real friend. She needed a sister, or something. Yeah. She needed that a lot. I think this kind of movie does show how important side characters are and how they can like assist the plot. And there weren't really any side characters. Again, like he has this friend group and she has them, but they were just so on the outs of everything. Like they didn't bring any of them into the plots.
Yeah, agreed.
Really kind of affected how.
And they needed that.
They needed
Yeah.
it so bad. Yeah. So then Nick is going to go on a date with her.
They're going to the game.
This is when Steve Harvey really becomes an active father.
This scene is when I realized, Steve Harvey is in this movie playing himself. He's not acting. This is Steve Harvey explaining to you his life experiences. This is a chapter in his memoir. Like, this is Steve Harvey in his full bag.
He brings him into their room and sits him in the waterbed and says, you need a waterbed because not a woman alive who can resist the motion of the ocean.
This really triggered me a lot because I really loved my grandfather, but he had a waterbed for my whole life.
My grandma had a waterbed too.
And I never needed to try to like connect any dots on that. And I still won't be connecting any dots, but I just really didn't need to hear that at all at 30 years old.
Yeah, no,
this is
a choice.
Too much. In this scene, he also hands off a box full of condoms to his son so that he is prepared. And I wrote in my notes, I can't tell if this is like very healthy and like great because early 2000s, like, I don't feel like that was like a weird time in like the safe sex talk era. Like there were a lot of mixed messages, I feel like, but I don't know if Steve Harvey handing his son a box of condoms, one of which he describes as a prophylactic Cadillac.
It was the breakdown of each individual condom that was really so disturbing. And the fact that really Steve Harvey is not involved in this movie at all, except for, I would say, again, the pacing in this movie is so off because I think they dedicate a solid 15 minutes to condom dad talk.
Yes. There are multiple condom scenes. Yes.
2 separate scenes.
Can I tell you what the most triggering part of this scene was, though? And honestly, this will be the thing that I bring up probably in every episode when we talk about 90s and early 2000s movies because they all are such liars. When he gives him the Earth, Wind, and Fire soundtrack, and he's like, this is what you have to put on. This is what gets you in the mood. I might be confusing condom scenes right now also, but at one point...
This is the second scene.
He gives him like the Earth, Wind, and Fire soundtrack. This is the mood-setting music. Why do all of these movies make it seem like the first time you have sex, there's going to be a great playlist? And that's not what happens. That is not true. That is a lie that honestly Hollywood owes me reparations for. And I want my money.
How TMI we want this to be.
I mean,
I did have a soundtrack.
Did you really? I mean, don't overshare, but the girls are going to want to know what was on the soundtrack.
Tyrese.
You have active children, so you don't have to tell too much on the internet.
Tyrese.
I don't have any.
Yeah, it was Tyrese.
It was Sweet Lady, wasn't it?
It might. I don't remember which one. Was it Tyrese or it could have been Genuine? It was one of those two.
Okay. Solid.
Yeah,
I think there was like a TV One movie playing and like the credits were rolling and I remember just like looking at the credits.
Oh, there was no lights. There was no TV. It
was also the middle of the day.
Okay. This is so oh no.
Like high noon. But we've grown, you know?
I've grown. So he was like, yeah, turn on this 8-track and put on this condom. And then he like chases him out of the house.
Yes.
With the condom. That's the second scene, actually.
That was the second condom scene. In the first one, he hands over the box. There's the weird motion of the ocean, waterbed moment. He goes through all the variety of condoms and the type of scenario that they are for, which was a choice. And then Alvin gets ready to head out to go pick up his girl because they have a game to go to.
Yes. And then he gets her. Does he bring her to the game?
Yeah, he picks her up and he goes to get her, but she has to drive.
Okay. Is this where she gives her the flowers and she's just like, Alvin.
She gives him the worst advice ever.
Don't be too nice. The girls, this is what she says. Don't be too nice. Then girls will like you. Be an asshole and then you will have girls. And I would like, again, this is when I was in high school. This is the representation that I was seeing. This is what the girls were being told. This is what the boys were being told.
We've been hearing that though since we were kids. Like, it's if he's bullying you, it's because he likes you. Like, that is so toxic. And I'm literally screaming at the TV, like, homegirl, you're like actively being cheated on to the point that your man is going on ESPN to tell people how much he hates you, basically.
Yeah.
Don't you think the men are mean enough? Maybe you should be encouraging this very nice, well, I mean, I don't know about very nice, but this like man who has purchased you to at least find some kindness within himself.
Yeah, no, she's like, don't be nice. And then there's one scene where somebody yells, "What a wankster." The dialogue in this movie, if you need a snapshot of 2003, just read the script. The things that they say.
Yeah.
Unironically,
someone did ask him what kind of car he drizzles.
Yeah, he did drizzle. Yeah, it's really bad. Oh, this scene is the basketball scene where Ted aggressive leaves
Ted
the
who needs
huddle.
To go to anger management.
He leaves the huddle and climbs up into the stands to be like, "Why are you sitting in my section?"
He does this, and they're at a high school basketball game where not a teacher, not a coach, not a parent, no grown-up intervenes because all the students are 28.
And then smashes pizza into his face.
Into Keenan's face, which causes out...
He smashes... Was it Keenan?
No, he smashes the pizza into Keenan's face, and then Alvin freaks out and he starts running. Now, I thought he was going to like run towards the basketball players. I literally wrote in my notes, I thought Alvin was running to beat homeboy up, but ... he climbed a tree.
He hides in a tree. So then poor Paris has to leave her cheerleading thing where their uniforms, there's not a logo, there's not a letter.
Nothing. No school, nothing. Very cute. Great routine. Loved it.
Great routine.
Amazing routine.
Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. And she finds him in a tree.
In a literal tree.
This is when the makeover scene happens.
The makeover montage. It's giving Sean John. It's giving Aniche. It's giving Burberry and all these other fake labels. I'm sure there was a Von Dutch moment or something.
To the iconic tune of Air Force One.
Which I sang word for word. Honestly, I get made fun of for asking this question because I ask it pretty often. What happened to Murphy Lee?
I don't know. His verses are the best. Also, Murphy Lee is what this movie opened up to as well.
It is, because Murphy Lee was honestly like, I honestly would not be surprised if Nelly had something to do with it, because I think Murphy Lee was coming for his career because he was a better rapper.
He really was. And his songs are always the catchiest. His verses are always the catchiest in their songs.
Loved Murphy Lee. Yeah. Loved him. So
that was the perfect musical choice. Like, great creative decision.
Great creative. I love that he waxed his unibrow. It was definitely giving Amelia Armopoulos Donaldi becoming a real girly when she got her unibrow waxed as well.
Yes. But like when you gave him his Air Forces and his velour tracksuit, he immediately turned into an asshole.
Immediately. It also took me back to the early 2000s when the men really were like wearing a pair of like Air Forces around their neck. Like they would tie the lace. What was that? Like, what were you preparing for?
Well, because they couldn't actually wear them because they couldn't get creased. So you have to like show that you have them without damaging them.
Right. Naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was his choice. And then like the next day he shows up at school and leaves her. But I don't actually think, here's the path. Time has no meaning in this movie.
I don't know if it's been 3 days or a week and a half.
Because then I think it's like the last day of their arrangement. But like it feels like it's the third day. Because I feel like when she's like, you forgot. Because they've only
seen each other like twice.
Mm-hmm. You
also,
forgot
we missed another iconic line in the morning before he leaves to go to school, wearing his Sean John tracksuit, the blue.
Okay, yes.
And first he tells his dad, because his dad is like, oh, you need to pull your pants up. He's like, no, this is Sean John. That means I got to get my swirl on. I don't know what that means, which causes his sister to say, Urkel has gone gangster.
I wrote that line down. That was a great one.
That could be merch.
Great line. Urkel has gone gangster. The little sister, that's who should have been Paris's friend. Loves the little
100%.
sister.
She
Little
needed
sister.
her so bad. Like there should have been a moment where like Paris is also like really smart and tutors younger kids and she's tutoring his sister and like she needed someone to be her sounding board.
Or she like goes to pick him up and the sister's just like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm not okay.
Like, now that you ask, I'm
Yeah.
really suffering with my
unwell.
lack of friend group. I have no
Yeah.
support and my mom doesn't live with me. She's never
Mom's
there.
out of town all the time. I have like
I have no
a
idea
real
where she's
boyfriend
going.
and a fake boyfriend, and neither one of them talk to me. I'm really going through a lot. Yeah, the little sister deserved the world. Her and
Agreed.
Paris, both of them.
Agreed. Justice for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were great. So then they go. Oh, this is when he. Oh wait, so there's the second condom scene where he
Which
says,
this was the one where I felt like it could maybe be a healthy moment.
So this is the also where he gives him money because Alvin is on the bed counting coins, literal quarters, literal change.
Honestly, the juxtaposition from in the beginning of the movie, having a wad of cash, having $1,500 in cash, and now you are counting quarters on the bed. Yeah.
So he gives him money and then he says, you're going to need more than that if you want to scratch that kitty cat.
Yeah. Yeah. He says it multiple times.
And then he gives him more condoms to practice with. Oh, this is when he gives him like the cheap ones. And it's just like,
these are just the practice condoms. These are not the condoms you wear. They're the ones that you. Yes. Because he's a Johnson. So originally he hands him like something else from his desk. I couldn't really tell what it was. And he's like, oh no, you're a Johnson. So he needs a bigger bottle to practice putting a condom on. And then he instructs him that because he is a Johnson, they are one-handers. So you should be able to open, take out, and put on the condom with just one hand.
Yeah. This leads to one of the best scenes where they go to a party where they arrive at a high school party where people are outside in the front yard passing out Jello shots.
Naturally.
Drinking, and somebody's car. Oh, this is when he really turns into an asshole because he has one like good party. Somebody's car's not working. So he one hand opens the condom and fixes the person's car with a condom.
As one does.
And then everybody's just like, you are the man. You could not be cooler in your velour sweatsuits and your condom mechanic ways.
That's when that girl tells him that he's off the hizzle for shizzle and asks what kind of car he drizzles. And Paris, because she's so nice and so kind, steps in to explain with like very inflated vocabulary that he doesn't have a car. But she says that he's currently like building one, a prototype, which in layman's term doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah. This is also around the time where he tells her that he gave up his scholarship opportunity to fix her car. And she was like, oh my gosh. And not like, you fucking idiot.
Do you know what's weird to me though? Like at this point, she's clearly like feeling him because he's like cute now and he has Sean John. And I kind of got the vibe that like Paris has money. Like she lives in a pretty big house. Like her mom has an Escalade.
And a pool boy.
Yeah. At no point did she ever think to be like, try to get $1,500 to like pay him back.
Oh yeah, that like repayment was never
on the table at all because because if it was
paying for her services, her popularity services.
Right. But at the point where you start to like him, I do feel like there has to be a conversation if we're going to real date about like buying ourselves out of this deal.
Yeah. And also like you threw away your future. So like, let's try to get you some money back so you can still go to school.
Right.
But he's just like, I can be an engineer whenever, but I can only be popular in high school once. I was like, this feels like flawed logic for somebody so smart.
I mean, there wasn't Instagram yet. Now you can be famous whenever you want. You can be popular overnight if you want to, depending on how low you're trying to go.
Yeah. So after this party, she's waiting from outside school and he doesn't show up and she goes in and he's like talking to fucking Ted.
Why, of all the people who you could choose to be buddy-buddy with, do you pick Ted? And
Yvonne is all into him too now, right? Like her friends.
Of course, because her frenemies.
Yeah. So then after school that day, he goes over to her house because it's like the last day of their contract, even though again, their contract if you
started a half a second ago.
Dating content, just know you're not actually getting that here.
You will not see any of that.
None of it whatsoever.
They did like basically 2 appearances.
Yeah. And it was...
That was it?
Yeah, that was it. It didn't really make sense. And it doesn't really
get any like quintessential high school fake dating moments. Like there was no, we have to walk down the hallway together and hold hands. There was no like, I need to kiss you at prom. Like there were so many things that were right there and they did none of them.
None of them. They just kept going to these stupid basketball games and a hallway.
So that Ted could like beat someone up.
So Ted really
could work through his anger issues on the other characters.
Yeah. So on the last day of this contract, he shows up at her house and just like casually lets himself into her house and walks into her bedroom.
Yes.
As she's sitting on her bed with her guitar. And this is why we realize she's not like other girls, because she's an artsy girl.
She's into like music and stuff. So like, you know, I'm not really like
she just like wants to like have dreads and like get away from all of the popularity.
I was like, wow, we were definitely pulling from like the real musicians or the neo soul girls references there, but I see what you're doing.
Yeah. And this is where I drop back in time to when Nick Cannon was a romance hero and a rapper. Because I was like, yes, Nick Cannon, sing her song, because like he was a musician and that's what I knew him for. So I already know when I saw this scene is probably the scene that had me. Listen, I could lie to you and say I'd never watched this before. That would be a lie. I watched this multiple times in high school.
Yeah,
and I
for sure.
That this scene was the scene that like was my favorite. It also, I will say, is the scene that gives the most like romance hero. Like I'm paying attention to you. I see you, right? He listens. He like says her lyrics, which is weird. She's like never let anybody like know she does this, and she's gonna like let him like sing her.
Alexa, who is she gonna let know? Her mom doesn't live with her and she doesn't have any friends.
You're right. But usually, you know, you're pretty protective over like who reads it, and like you're just gonna like not only let him read it, but like sing it. And he's just like, and I rise. Right.
Which
it's like,
also like, are we gonna talk about the fact that her lyrics are a remix of a Maya Angelou poem?
No.
Okay. But I will say it did remind me to give her flowers, because Dip It Low was a fantastic song.
Again,
love that song.
We have to have a conversation about how Christina Milian deserved so much more than she got.
I completely agree, 1000%. And honestly, up until the R. Kelly song, which I knew was going to happen because R. Kelly and Nick Cannon have a song together, the soundtrack, no skips.
I was
not a skip.
So pissed when that song came on.
I knew it was going to come. I was like, I didn't remember which song it was, but I was like, they have a song together that came out around this time.
Yeah. And that song was like the song that like that song.
It was
all over the airways. Like that was the song that like everybody.
Great music. Horrendous, man.
Oh,
I hope he never sees the light of day again.
Ever. I do think though, didn't they? So all the royalties and stuff for his music now goes to his victims, I think.
Oh, does it?
I think I heard that. I still haven't listened to his music because I don't know if that's for sure. And I honestly don't want to anymore.
Now that you know who he's singing about, it just gives me the ick.
All of it is so gross. Yes.
Yeah.
So in this scene, he takes her after he realizes she likes music and she's like, not just popular. She's got some substance to her. He takes her to an open mic. Yeah. He takes her to an open mic night.
Because, of course, I've never sung before or showed anyone my musical talent, but I definitely want to go to open mic night because now I'm seen and I can be who I really am.
She doesn't sing. They're just watching.
No, they just go.
Which was like thoughtful, right? Like this was like...
It's adorable. It's such romance material.
That was the one scene where I was just like, oh, yes, this is giving romance. Central romance, not just comedy. Like this is giving romance. And so then like after they leave there, they go to like the beach and she's just like, you know, I've really been thinking. You can tell like she's just like into him, right?
Yes.
And like she's trying to like give him like an in to like kiss her. And he's just like, yeah, let's plan our breakup.
He goes, we don't want to make a scene, nothing too crazy, but like something that everyone can see.
Yeah. And she's all sad. And
he's excited because he's like about to actively enter his true villain era.
Mm-hmm, because he doesn't just want to break up. He wants to humiliate her.
He wants her crushed.
Uh-huh. Which
you would expect from a man who also asked to rent you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's bad.
It's gross.
Like, obviously has some pride and isn't like, well, I don't want to do the breakup anymore. What about us, right? No communication because this is...
None.
We need the third act breakup. And
Must have.
we have to see his full turn to a villain. Listen, I think the moral of this movie is you give any man attention and they will turn to trash, basically.
The lesson that I learned was stop giving men things. And if you give them things, just expect to lose everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything at all. So at school the next day, I was like, what did I write down? Because my penmanship in these notes were not great. And they're talking and somebody says, you got all the 411. Uh-huh. Yeah. And then, okay. So they break up at school, right? She's like going to talk to him. I don't think she's trying to do the breakup. Like, I feel like she's not expecting it when it happens.
It was never fully coordinated.
At all. At all. And so as they're like doing, she's like, Alvin, can we talk? And he says, I'm a free agent now. Which I don't know if when I was a teenager watching this, I really caught on to that. But
I definitely did it. Yes.
Her boyfriend on ESPN's words back to her, the thing that started it off with her massive embarrassment, and then he echoed them. It was so fucked up.
I also feel like that breaks, like, to me, with the setup that we have, that breaks like a big rule of romance, because I feel like you can't do something that is so hurtful you can't come back from it.
Intentionally cruel.
Right. Like the thing that you guys break up because of, knowing that the goal is the happily ever after, you have to make it so I can come back to you. And that was so hurtful because it's the second time she's been humiliated with the same exact phrase.
Yes.
Publicly.
Yeah. It was so fucked up. I could not believe it. And so then he is, God. Oh, yeah, that was my note. Give a man a little attention and they turn into trash. And then her friends think he's hot because he was a dick, right? So
yes, they love it.
For being like, be rude.
Watching her get humiliated is like their kink.
It was an aphrodisiac for them. They were just like, ooh, you see how mean he is to our friend? Yes.
And they're literally like fighting over which one of them is going to go and approach him. They're like, oh my God, is it you? Is it me? I'm going after him.
And then he shows up the next day in what was the line? The Gucci
Burberry Prada.
Yeah. And it looks so fake, but Yvonne is just like, you look so tight. She says tight. That was what she had.
What time you coming to scoop me up? And he said he's going to come scoop her. This was earlier when he said he's going to scoop her like Chunky Monkey.
Vile.
But that was a line that was used.
Yeah. Chunky Monkey was the ice. They said, all the ice cream we have, let's go with Chunky Monkey. That sounds appealing. And then that is when R. Kelly plays. I did write that down. And then R. Kelly. They went from...
My note literally says, we were doing so well on the soundtrack until we got to the R. Kelly.
Yeah. So then this is one of the... Also, again, just like leans into him just being really unforgivable. He finally, after like ignoring his friends forever, goes back to like talk to them and see how like the car is that they've been working on. And Kal Penn is just like, why do you
not having it?
You haven't been around. And he's just like, but it looks so cool. And like their engine isn't working. So, and then his friends have a little dance of how they get into the car.
Oh my gosh. And it's like a whole coordinated moment with the sunglasses. I'm like,
they throw the keys. It's
you
adorable.
Have to love it.
I love it.
And it's clear that like it is a dance meant for 4, and now they're down to 3 because Alvin is out being a villain.
And so he's like he like pretends to be all into it and just like, oh, you guys need that piece? I'll get it for you.
I can go to the garage and get it.
Yeah, and then we'll go hang out. And so they're waiting for him, and he leaves them. He steals their car.
My notes literally say, not this man stealing the car.
Stealing the fucking car to pick up Yvonne.
Yes.
And then called it the groupie hoopty.
The groupie hoopty.
And then we just
started passing out drinks, and he's showing everyone the car that he has not worked on. Well, I would say in weeks, but we don't actually know how much time it's been since he's seen his friends.
It could be a day. It could have been a week.
It could have been 20 minutes. Who knows?
Months. We don't know. And then we just cut to his friends waiting for him and being sad and alone. And then so this is when they go to senior ditch day. This is where they're going. Senior
Wait,
ditch day.
before that, you're skipping a very vital
Am
scene.
I?
When they're still at the party that he has stolen this car to go to with
This is
Yvonne.
at the party. Okay, yes.
And they're leaving the party, and it's time for him to get a little close to Yvonne. So she's like, where are you going? Why are you rushing to leave? She climbs over the front seat onto his lap and says, I get free long distance on my phone. I don't need it on a date. And it's unclear what they get into.
Literally in the middle of a party.
Parked outside of someone's residential front lawn.
There's literally people just walking around, and Harlow kept going, right now, right here.
But it's unclear if they like had sex, if it was like.
Oh no, they tell us she gets the next day. Well, but before that, also when she shows up to the party with him, and Paris is like, "You're here with him."
What about girl code?
This ain't Burger King. You can't always have it
your way. Which is definitely something that I've like actively said to someone before.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
the main character. Mm-hmm.
I really should not be.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And so, okay. And so then we cut to the like sister again, who is a great.
The saving grace.
Like, I told you, he's paying that girl. He's paying her. There's something going on.
I feel like we're missing something else though. Oh, he goes home after the party and he's emailing his friends.
Yes.
He's emailing them to be like, you guys aren't, because he wants to tell them about the girl he hooked up with at the party.
Mm-hmm.
And completely not connecting to him that he stole their car and stood them up. Like, why would they care about your like front seat hookup?
And then they knock on his window.
Yes, as he's writing this email.
Mm-hmm. And then they excommunicate him for the group.
An email that he describes as reading as a penthouse letter, by the way.
It's so bad. I like when but then again, Kal Penn is the one just like, give us the keys to our car back.
Yes. Kal Penn is the leader of their friend group for sure.
Yeah, he is. He is really who should be the fucking hero. I love him. And this is when we find out, the parents, I think, find out about him like giving up.
That's when they get like Yes, that's when they find out that he gave up the scholarship.
And the mom calls Paris a tramp.
She does call him a tramp. And then he goes, no one says tramp anymore, Mom. It's more like chicken head and hoochie.
Yes. This is what's happening on his way out to senior ditch day. Right.
Yes.
So his friends like,
which he says, you know what? I am ditching. And I could have lied to y'all, but y'all my folks. So.
And they don't even know what to do. And Steve Harvey has never felt so betrayed. He gave him condoms.
I literally told you about the waterbed. How dare you? Yeah. You know what I also just realized? So during this whole, like, whatever this time period is, he's wearing like a different one of these new outfits every single day. Who bought the outfits?
Paris.
But you didn't have $1,500? A Sean John sweatsuit was not cheap.
Remember in like the shopping compilation, it was like $296. So they were like shopping. It was under $300. I did note that. It was
like, girl, I feel like you could have like willed your way into paying for your mom's car.
Afforded the $300 for some velour sweatsuits, so she could not afford $3,000. But I'm pretty sure it was her.
Math ain't mathing.
No, none of it makes sense. She's still driving. None of it makes sense whatsoever. We don't see the mom come home and be like, oh my God, my car looks so great. Like there's literally none of it is acknowledged.
No payoff.
No, there's really all just this like, this happens and this happens and this happens, but none of it's actually connected.
Correct.
So senior ditch day is so many things happen. This is when he also shows up in the sunglasses with another pair of Air Force Ones tied around his neck.
Yes.
Girls are trying to talk to him and he says, you can't bring sand to the beach.
Yes. He also says that he is auditioning prom dates.
Yes. And when Paris tries to talk to him, he says, now that I'm the coolest thing since shoestrings, you're trying to get laced.
Honestly, I am considering like my future wedding vows working that in.
It's so intense.
So bad.
They're just like at the beach, just, this is when he, at the beginning of the movie, part of his being a total nerd is that he has no rhythm whatsoever. And so he has been like watching these like dance videos, but his sister.
But it's not even a dance video. It's like a workout video. It's like Taibo.
The channel to the Taibo, and he can't tell the difference between a workout video.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Taibo. And so then at this like thing, they're just like, "Come on, Alvin." Or Al. Al.
That's when we get an intro to our quintessential 90s / early 2000s it girl, Reagan Gomez, who is here to play like thought number 3, but love her.
I knew she looked so familiar.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
yeah,
you were better than this.
So much better than that.
So they start dancing, and then he takes one of them to a cave to like make out.
I'm also like very confused about where we're supposed to be, the setting, because there's like they keep going to the beach, but when they're at someone's house, it looks like Illinois.
Yeah, no, it's really a lot. Oh, and it also needs to be pointed out that during this dance scene, it's so cool that they pan out and everybody's doing it. Even the goths. Like
even the goths are doing this like martial arts dance sequence.
And then you see his friends standing behind the fence because they obviously are not allowed on the beach. Right? Like the outcasts.
Because the beach is also segregated.
They go out there.
Senior ditch day. They brought their high school segregation to the beach.
And
as one does.
The goth student really made me laugh. Then
that was funny.
Drew shows up
to senior ditch day. Drew is an active member of the National Basketball Association, but he is going to a high school senior ditch day at the beach. And that is when, honestly, I was like, you think I'm dumb.
He shows up in a Hummer at the beach. It's summertime, right?
On the sand. He pulls his Hummer onto the sand.
And it's like hot, right? Like everybody else is in their bathing suits and stuff, and he is wearing a sweater, pants, and Timberland boots.
What else are you going to wear on the beach in California, Illinois?
And everybody's like, "Oh, yo, Drew, you're back.
My man."
And they like ask him about like all the girls he's like sleeping with, and he's just like, "Yeah, but that stays on the road. Paris, like that's where it's at. That's my girl."
Mind you, he has not spoken Paris at this point since Nicole gave him a glass of champagne.
Yeah, we have no idea what happened to him. Like, I honestly thought they broke up, I assumed. But, like, no, he's back and they're still together.
Also, where does he play that he's able to so easily attend senior ditch day? Like, has he no game, no practice, no camp?
Nothing. There's nothing happening. And so they're just like, he's just like, Paris would never stray. And then they're all like, they all start looking around like, "Oh, you don't even know." And he's just like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "She's been with Al." And he's like, "Who's Al?"
He was like, "Who is Al? The only Al I know is Alvin Johnson, the pool boy."
Yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, no, he's cool now. He is Sean Johnson."
He be getting shotties now.
And so then, because Christina Milian or Paris, sorry, she had like ran to like get her stuff, and then when she comes back, he's just like, "What's this I heard about you with somebody else, with Al? Like, how are you stepping out on me again?" Even though
he's telling the world that he's cheating on her.
All we know about this man is that he's
honestly, I can't say for sure that he's in the NBA, but I can say for sure he's cheating on Paris.
All we know, right? That's all we know about him. And so then she's just like, no, Drew, don't go. And so she goes to get Alvin, like, "You have to tell him about our plan. You have to tell him, please. And he's just like, "You're so desperate." And like,
because he's also, when she finds him, he's like actively like about to have sex in a cave with Reagan Gomez.
Yeah. And Reagan Gomez says,
"Do you care about me?
Prove it to me. Prove how much you care about me." And he starts singing Paris's song. He uses her song.
My notes say stealing her song for this girl is such nasty work, because it's so like the one time that you guys actually have a real interaction, because you've really only been in the same room together like 5 times through this whole thing. Mm-hmm. The one time she actually shows you who she is and what she's into, you basically like betray her trust. And that is so gross.
Yeah, it's gross. That's this whole scene. It's awful and disgusting, and
I hated it. Also, like, were they gonna have sex in the sand? I'm just like, I understand that like teenagers do some things, but like, come on, you didn't even put a towel down. Mm-hmm. He barely even took his Air Forces from around his neck.
Yeah, it's bad. I
didn't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Me either. So then she's like trying to get him to admit the whole everything, and he won't. So she's like, "Oh, you're worried your new friends are gonna find out? Think you're not cool? Well, guess what?
You paid me."
Yeah. And she tells the whole school, and then everybody's like disgusted. Like, you aren't cool anymore. Al.
I can't believe he betrayed us. We thought you were regular cool, but it turns out you were just paying a girl to be your friend cool.
Exactly. And so then everybody walks away, and he's just sad on the beach with no friends, because even his friends on the other side of the fence want nothing to do with it anymore. Yeah. And this is where we get to the black point. Even though I think in this part of the movie, we still, again, don't know what happens with Drew.
No.
Kind of
all I can say for sure, honestly, is that Drew is not in the NBA. There's just no possible way. And if he is, one of these teachers needs to call the police, because he exclusively hangs out with the Pussycat Dolls and high school students.
It's jarring AF. And but like, he disappears from the beach. And so does Paris. I don't know what happened.
Everyone just leaves. It's like, once we find out the truth about Al, everyone's like, "Oh, I hate the beach." And they all just leave.
Yeah, senior day is over. Alvin has ruined it.
Vibe killed.
Then we get to the whole black moment where everybody is sad. Everybody is sad. And Christina Milian is in her very cluttered room.
But I wrote in my notes, I said, girls in the early 2000s had such nice bedrooms, in that they had so much like furniture in them. Like, they always have like 2 nightstands and then like some kind of like chaise lounge or like an ottoman or a bench. There's like so much that there's framed photos. I'm like, I've lived in my apartment now for almost 5 years. And if you came here, you might think I moved in last night.
Yeah, her room, though, it had a lot of things. She had a chair she literally could not exit her bed from that side, because the chair is touching her bed. Like, there's so much happening in that room. And while she's all sad, she's on the phone, I think, with her blonde friend, Ron, who says, "You're going to be an NBA wife. Like, why are you complaining?
Like, girl,
he cheats on you all the time, but like you're going to live the dream."
Basically, she said, "Do you want to cry in a Maybach or a Honda?" This girl is the original Future. Navadius owes this girl a debt.
Truly, because it is so sad, and she's all sad, and she has no options. Somebody has already stolen her lyrics. That the nice boy is a villain, the bad boy is a villain. She has no mother. She has no friends, no siblings. She didn't even get a dog. And also, we never figured out if the man at the beginning who was there when her mom left was like her stepfather or anything. She has no parental supervision. Never been seen again. Ever.
Paris is an orphan who lives in a very nice house.
Truly, exactly. And then we cut to Nick Cannon being sad. And to this where he's like sad, and it's like trying to be a moment. Harlow said, "Ew, feet. His toes are so long."
She's not wrong. I also noticed his feet, and that's why I think there should just not be foot content, like, ever. I never want to see feet.
Yeah, no body shaming, but like, let's just not show the toes.
It's just not an attractive part of anyone's body. Like, they're very functional. They're not supposed to be aesthetically pleasing. So let's stop like doing that.
Yeah, we can just like move on from those. And then this is when Alvin and Steve have another heart-to-heart.
Another father-son moment. At least this one did not involve a box of condoms.
It's basically where Steve Harvey's like, "Hey, I was the cool guy, and now look at me, giving my kid condoms and lip-sync to 8 tracks. It doesn't matter if you're cool. You're still going to be a loser in the long run."
Which, and like, a choice of a lesson, but I did appreciate the attempt at perspective.
Yeah. He's like, "I know I was like happy that you had condoms, but like, I was proud of you for being smart too. So maybe we should go back to that."
That would have been great to tell him 45 minutes ago, Steve.
Truly.
When he was giving up his future to fake date this girl.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So they give him the money to go get the engine part so he can do it. And then he makes the engine again, right? And then his friend's car doesn't start. So he gives them the engine. He does not give a fuck about school.
He's not going to college. He isn't going to go.
He said,
if there's a chance for him to throw it away, he will throw it away. He would have given it to anyone. There could have been a person on the street that was like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted an engine. He would be like, oh, do you want this one?
Here,
I don't need it.
Please. He says the school might have to come look at it. Might? What? It's just going to be in the car now? What happens if they get in the car?
That is a literal requirement for your scholarship. That's all they want.
He threw away his money, whatever. But now he's just like, my parents clearly can't afford this, so I'm going to risk it again.
He is the worst.
He's so bad.
Not a redeeming quality.
Not all. One. I'm like, you're supposed to be smart. You're an idiot. And an asshole. And a villain. It's bad. Bad combo. Also, did we also realize that Drew's last name is Hilton and Paris Morgan? And so if the Drew and Paris got married,
she would have been Paris Hilton. Oh my God.
Back to the beginning of this episode when The Simple Life premiered this month.
Wow.
And Paris Hilton is becoming a household
Thank you so much for making those important pop culture connections for us.
Yes, no problem. That's what I'm here for. So then, even though everything is wrong with everything, Alvin says, you know what will cheer me up? A basketball game where I have no
Because
fun.
I've always had so much fun at those in the past. Yeah. Historically, I've really just like found my peace at a basketball game. I've never run out of one and then had to climb a tree to cope with the crippling anxiety and the potential violence that awaited me there. Let's do it again.
Yeah, but this time with no friends, because I don't even have my nerdy group friend.
Nothing says I want to get beat up like walking into the Lion's Den solo dolo.
Yes. And at this basketball game, we have a special guest star, which is Drew back because...
Who is not in the NBA.
Nothing says I'm a new NBA player like going back to your high school basketball games. And
when he said I'm a free agent, he meant I'm unemployed. Because there's no way. And
there's
again,
no way.
No coach, no teacher was like, hey man, you okay?
Wait, we had a person who, when I was in high school, he graduated and he came back a lot. And then he was like a coach and stuff. And then last year he got arrested.
Wow.
We're talking to high school girls.
I feel like that's actually like a pretty common story.
Yeah, right. It seems like the correct trajectory. So he's back at the game and they have another huddle. And in this huddle, there's zero growth from Ted, who again,
Ted has actually gotten worse.
Storms out of the huddle again and goes. And
no one stops him. Not a teacher, not a coach, not a team member. No one. And they're all like, oh, Ted's just being Ted.
Yeah, Ted is going to, if Ted's going to do one thing, it's going to be attack the nerds. So Ted attacks them again. Then Alvin says, I'm not running to a tree today, Ted. I'm going to stand up for my friends. I'm going to stand up for Kenan Thompson when nobody else in this gym is going to.
No one else in the entire school will.
Nobody else will. They are so afraid of Ted.
Honestly, they're justified because Ted is very scary.
Ted is horrifying. So if you are a writer, a big thing is like in the third act, the kind of like reckoning in like the power is in me. And I had it all the whole time. And this is where we get from Al in his speech, where he's just like, this is who I am. I like Michael Jackson. I clean pools. I'm smart.
I threw away my college, but I swear I really want to go.
Yeah, I don't care. And these are my friends. And you actually suck because why are you up here not on the court, right? So he has this whole speech of like, I don't even care anymore, Ted. You don't like me? That's okay. I don't like myself either. Just what he should have said.
Fair.
Yeah. So then he leaves and they start a slow clap in the gymnasium. Slow clap on his way out where everybody gives him a standing ovation. And at the end of it, the school culture is fixed. The cheerleaders run and sit with the nerds. He has ended racism.
Honestly, he walks so Kendall Jenner could run. It's like,
Pepsi's
again, not a single staff teacher or athletic professional to be found in this gymnasium.
Not one. Not a single one. So
And then
many
we
adults.
follow so many adults in the school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Drew came to supervise them because none of the other grown-ups were available.
Yeah, because there's no coach. There's Drew on the sideline, but no coach.
There's no basketball coach. There's no cheerleading coach. There's no one works at this school. It's an abandoned school where kids just go to like vibe out.
Yes. So he leaves. And for some fucking reason, our girl Paris chases him.
She
out of
the
starts
school.
running after him. But before she can get to him, Drew steps in front of her. And
I was like, where did he come from?
Where did he come from?
Because he doesn't walk out of the same door as her. He intercepts her.
Yeah,
so I'm like, is there a side door?
I got to get to her before she reaches Al. Got to go through this magic portal. And he's just like, I've decided to forgive you. And she gives him like a little chin tap that was just like, no, I don't want you. But then we pan out.
But he tells her, I'm your meal ticket. Is that what you want to be, Drew?
Yeah, he wants to control her. This is a whole other conversation we're going to have about power imbalances in relationships.
Separate episode.
Mm-hmm, where he can just like cheat on her with Nicole Schwarzenegger and she won't care, right? Because he's
Does Nicole know that he's hanging out down the high school?
No, definitely not. Also, he couldn't even have champagne. He just graduated last year.
18 years old, and he is clearly a very wealthy, unemployed person because he's in the back of limos, but he is never on the court.
Because this is my favorite part. Because as we pan out to see Paris continue to chase after him, we see parked right next to the gym entrance a white Hummer limo.
It's his second Hummer. He's like, one was my beach Hummer. This is my like high school Hummer.
This is my limo Hummer so that I can pile in all of the underage teens to party with me after the basketball game.
For my peace of mind, I'm just going to say that all the adult teenagers in this movie are 18.
Okay. The adult teenagers. So Paris somehow is chasing Alvin down. And then she is the one apologizing at the end of this movie, though she did nothing wrong.
Like, girl, stand
drive
up.
her mom's car and crash it. Also,
okay,
talk about this. When she crashed her mom's car and got $3,000 worth of damage, she was literally going 2 miles an hour.
She was just so distraught. She was like,
there's no way there was this much damage from that little love tap that she did.
Also, like, another missed opportunity in this film, because she doesn't have any real friends and all of her friends are frenemies, one of them totally should have snitched to her mom that she had messed up the car, and that caused like her to step away from them, because she never really fully gets away from them, even when Yvonne is like fully sleeping with her ex-fake boyfriend.
And it would have also just added some like actual like tension. Like there's no
tension
at all. Again,
there's really no stakes, honestly. Like
none whatsoever. Because what happens? They don't get together. Okay, good.
I mean, he's already not going to college, so that was never a stake. Worst case scenario, they're like hanging out with Drew for another year, or they get like beat up by Ted.
I mean, honestly, we do have concerns about Ted.
I would like a Ted spinoff where he like graduates, goes to anger management, and then like is an employee at like a wellness retreat and wherever they live, Chicago, Illinois. Who works with athletes who also
California. He's like the Mighty Ducks coach, and then he like fights other people, and they like force him, and then he like teaches the kids to like fight on the thing. And he's like, no,
unpopular opinion. You know, I hate Mighty Ducks.
That is unpopular, but I also understand.
It's the sports movies. I just feel like they're all exactly the same, but not in the way that like romance are the same, but like they're the exact same, but we keep acting like it's something new.
One day we'll have to discuss Coach Carter and how that is where I fell in love with Channing Tatum.
Understandable.
And that one they lose. Spoiler alert. They do not win the championship. And I was like, I'm so sorry. This isn't how these movies are supposed to go. But that will be for another day.
Spoiler alert would have been a great name for the podcast too.
It would have been. Well, sorry, we've already decided.
We've already committed.
Yeah, so
anyway,
this is after him, and she apologizes
profusely.
And then he's just like to shut her up for apologizing for her no wrongdoing, because again, She literally didn't even talk to him. He brought all of this to her. And she was like, cool, yeah, I need my car fixed. And I guess I can be nice to you.
Literally.
And then he kisses her and grabs her butt. And
it's over.
That's it.
Roll
that's
credits. Do you know what I also just realized? When he kisses Yvonne in the car at the party, that based on everything that they've told us about him, that was his first kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And we completely gloss over that, which is like what I mean when I'm like, some of the like condo moments, like as icky as they were because of the Steve Harvey of it all, like that could have been a really cool moment for like men in romance to like see themselves and like also be the ones having those awkward moments, because there aren't as many movies where like the man goes through the ugly duck phase and then comes out. Like those are way far between. And this could have been a really cool moment to be like, he's nervous. He's having his first kiss. It's his first time. And they completely just didn't do any of that. And now he's like a pro and he's making out with her in the back of the high school.
You're right. I agree. I think that is like one of the appeals of this movie. It's like the opposite of what's the Freddie Prinze Jr. movie?
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I wanted to say She's Gotta Have It, but that's
yeah.
different one. Different.
Where it is like the guy that's like, you know, doing all of the things, who's like losing their glasses and is all of a sudden attractive.
Right.
But like they don't really do anything with it.
No.
It's like they have all these.
They have too many things. Nationals. Hello. Like it was all right there for you. You were just like, nope, you threw it away. Just like Alvin threw away his college career.
Yeah, we spent so much time on like showing that he is a nerd who likes science and has a dad who likes condoms, that like we missed all of the other opportunities. Like, I guess it was like because Nick Cannon was like the more famous one. Like we're getting more Nick Cannon when like clearly we needed more Christina Milian.
I mean, I feel like they were both like pretty famous at this point in the 2000s though.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like honestly, the way that it's done, the pacing is so chaotic and there's no time for any full story development of any plot line. Like to me, they leaned a little too much into the comedy and too far out of the romance, where it ends up not being that funny and not being that romantic.
I agree. And just like, again, the lines were so... It was like every stereotypical like phrase line that you could think of, they worked into it so unironically too, right? Like that was like serious dialogue that they were.
Yeah, they were like... But I did put in my notes, like all things considered, I kind of felt like Christina Milian was like actually a pretty good actress.
Love Christina Milian. That's what I'm saying. She is so, and she's a really good like rom-com actress.
I agree. And I feel like she should have almost like, this should have been the start of her J-Lo era. Like she should have been in more. Like I think that I could see her in a cute Christmas rom-com and it would be adorable. Nick Cannon I never want to see again for many reasons, but he was not good. He's good at being a comedian. He's not good at being an actor.
When you think back to this Nick and think to what he is now, we are filming this shortly after Christmas. I just saw a whole slideshow of him with his different families in their Christmas cards. This is the Nick when he got with Mariah, and we said, good for Mariah, before we knew.
Honestly, him asking Christina Milian if he could rent her is absolutely foreshadowing to him having 900 children with 900 women.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's like when I'm trying to think of other Nick Cannon movies, like even, and that's the only one where I could think of Nick Cannon actually being like an actor, because that's not really like a comedy.
Yeah. Is he in anything else?
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is too.
But if you think about it, his whole career is like he comes up with the concept and he like makes it, but it's all comedy. Like it was definitely the era of when like everyone was trying to be a bunch of things. Like this was probably around the time that we heard the smash but short-lived single from Tyra Banks, Shake Your Body. Like everyone was trying to enter their trifecta era where they were an actor, a singer, a model.
Punked era.
So he was definitely just doing it all.
It's where the lines between MTV and like started to blend, right? And you lost the music television. And it just became all of the other things.
Just videos. Any kind of videos.
Yeah, it was a great era, but
it was
that one. I mean, when we were coming up with this show and coming up with the movies to watch. There are so many. We had to be ruthless with the early 2000s.
The early 2000s was truly a time for rom-com, but when you look at the early 2000s, like, of course we were dying for romantic comedy. Like, the world was going through a lot. It was a recession. It was a housing crisis. Like,
but between like 99 and 2001, those 3 years.
Those were rough years, though.
But the amount of rom-coms we had.
Insanity.
The amount. Yeah, truly.
There were so many to choose from.
So many. We really had to, thank goodness some of them happened in 99, because otherwise the season would have been 8 million episodes long.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. Again, I remember going to the movie theater. I remember driving my little white Mazda to see Nick Cannon. And I'm pretty sure I saw this in theaters at least twice.
I'm sure I did, but I distinctly remember watching this at my aunt's house because she had this white sectional. And I remember sitting on that white sectional and watching this movie.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
That's a good memory. Core memory
unlocked.
Okay, so if you're rating this movie, what are you giving it? A, B, C, D, F?
It's going to get a strong D- from me because the plot, she doesn't move. The characters, they don't develop. The dialogue, it's not dialoguing. I didn't flunk it because we did get some pretty fire quotes that I would wear on a t-shirt.
Okay.
And the music, aside from the R. Kelly of it all, was great. I was singing along the entire movie. And Christina Milian, amazing.
She really worked hard.
Honestly, Christina Milian and Kal Penn, the heroes of the film.
Give them a spinoff. Give them their own movie. Let's rewrite this with them.
It's not too late. But everything else was
right on time. I feel that. If I were to watch this movie for the first time, I would probably also. But part of me is just when I was a teen, when I was their target audience, I was in it.
So what's your grade?
I think I'm gonna go C-. I
respect that.
I think I'm gonna it's got to be in the C, because I did watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
I do love, even though I love a woman of color finding love, but she found trash and it was wrapped nicely apparently. So that does make me a little sad. But Christina Milian is just such a gem in it. And the great quotes, the great fashion, the solid, they leaned all the way into high school stereotypes.
Completely.
And, the hallway. I agree with you that we still needed when you think of a high school rom-com, we needed things that weren't just in the hallway, right? We needed the school dance. We needed, other things than a hallway and a basketball gym.
Something to add in some stakes and some tension. Mm-hmm. And I think that something like prom or graduation or something like that just would have added that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no stakes. Everything was senior ditch day and
Drew's employment status.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
Okay, but are you calling it a rom-com? Yes or no?
Yes. Did we give our definition of a rom-com?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Yeah. It's a comedic movie. Romance is a central element, and they end up together in the end. So I think that checks every box. Is it a good rom-com? No.
No. Yeah.
Definitely, I think a rom-com.
I agree. I think it's a rom-com by the skin of its teeth, though, because the actual parts of romantic pursuit are the shortest parts of the movie. They are together for 10 seconds of a kiss before we roll the credits. You don't get a ton of fake dating montage either. So there's not that much romance.
Yeah,
in it.
I agree, because it starts with him being she's my dream girl, and then he has the chance to be around her, and he's just I like everybody except for you.
Exactly. And even her inciting incident, the Drew breakup moment, which is unclear if it's actually a breakup, you don't really see how that impacts her at all. Mm-hmm. And that's a core part of the romance setup, is that you have to be down so that the romance can build you up.
Yeah.
And we don't get that. So I think it's a rom-com, but barely. It's a rom-com. I think they did that accidentally. They filmed the movie. They were oh, should we make them fake date? And then they were okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I agree. It is exactly what you think of when you think of Nick Cannon.
100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for people who want real romance, should we get into the book recommendations?
Yes. Okay. Do you want to go first?
I can, yeah. So fake dating is actually one of my favorite tropes.
Okay.
It's definitely in my top 3.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, especially when it's done well, because I feel like it's just, I live for the tension, and it's so tense because you're like, there's a secret. Like, we're keeping a secret.
Yes.
What if people find out? So my number one is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. It was like a 5-star read for me.
Okay.
And in that one, our main character is a doctor, and she's like going through a really bad breakup. And there's a second doctor at the hospital who's like, he has a lot of like anxiety. It has amazing mental health representation in it. And they end up like fake dating in that. And it's like, it's just so good. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so good. And I think that is the kind of like tension that this was missing. It's full of just like, oh my God, like you'll finish it in 24 hours because you can't put it down. Okay. So my second recommendation is for anyone who likes a spicier read. This is definitely like on the spicy side. It is the first book, and I don't know if it's a trilogy or it's going to be a quartet, but it's by Anna Huang. It's called King of Wraths. I think the series is called like The Kings of Sin. And it's an arranged marriage fake dating situation, which is like really interesting because it's like they're already married or getting married. So how do you fake date? But it's a billionaire romance where our main character, Vivian, has like, so she's an Asian main character, and she's like lives to people please her parents. Her dad ends up doing something shady, and she has to marry this billionaire named Dante, who like low key kind of like hates her. So they have this like really tense thing, but she's like so committed to like pleasing her parents. She like really wants to make it work. It's very spicy. He's like such a little grumpy sunshine, like male interest. It's really, really good. It's fun. And the side characters in it are also fun. I think they end up getting like all the spinoffs in the series. Okay. So it's worth it.
Characters, as we've learned today, are very important. Okay. So I am going to go with The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. Sarah Desai writes fantastic rom-coms. Like, the romances are always just chef's kiss, but they're also so funny. She writes great ones. And so this is about Daisy Patel, who's a software engineer, but her life is just not going according to plan. And her family wants her to get married. And so she asks her childhood crush to be her decoy fiance. And he also needs to be fake married because his inheritance is on the line. And so when she comes to him, he is all for it because they both have something that they need and to prove. But she's still holding a little bit of a grudge because he did break her heart when they were teenagers. So it is just a really great one with like a lot of history, and it's so funny and it's so cute, and just her books are great.
I love that. I haven't read her. I'm adding that to my TBR.
That series is so funny. I think she has a new heist book that I haven't read yet.
I love a heist book.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then also, we might have to watch this once, but if you need like a follow-up teen fake dating to All the Boys I Loved Before, just feels like a little bit of a watch the show palate cleanse.
I feel like it's such a good palate cleanser book and show. Like, if you're between books, it's a nice like space filler.
Yes, I agree.
You've never written a fake dating?
No, I haven't.
I feel like they have to be fun to write.
Yeah. Like the like lies. I want to write a liar.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, I feel like if you wrote a fake dating one, it would piss me off because there's always a moment in your books where I get very upset at someone.
In a good way.
In a good way. In a great way. In a how dare she kind of way.
I know. I'm now trying to think I should write a fake dating. Let's outsource. Email us.
Email us your plot ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you want to tell people what we're watching next?
Yeah, you go. You want me to drum roll? Can
drum roll it.
Drum roll, edit, and
drum roll sound effect. Our next movie is going to be one of Alexa's personal like fantasies and favorites. We're going to watch Leap Year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm excited for this one because I feel like where this one lacked in the romance department, Leap Year will make up for it. And I haven't watched it at the time that we're recording this. I have not watched Leap Year in probably like years.
Same. It's been a long time. And as I love that we're giving strong, great leading ladies because Christina Milian, All the Flowers, Amy Adams, what a delight. I really
lovely.
Can't Wait, in Ireland?
We love a UK romance.
I love an Irish. I'm obsessed with Ireland. We'll discuss this next time. I am already married, but I would also just like to fall in love.
You can take your husband.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Maybe not your kids, but take your husband.
We'll do like a husband fake dating, and like we'll pretend like we don't know each other, and pretend to like fall in love there.
That could either be like the most precious, sweet romance, or it could be like the darkest, smuttiest book on Kindle Unlimited. You have some range there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that for us. Okay. So then before we end each episode, we want to give you our meet cutes and our third act breakup of the week. So our high and our low, but in like romance terms.
High and low, but make it cuter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. My high this week is definitely just like the New Year feeling. I feel like I'm in like the good part of that, like super reflective vibe. Like everything makes you kind of want to cry. Everything feels so beautiful. It's the last Friday of the year. It's the last this of the year. Like the minute before you're turning a fresh page. Like I'm in the good feeling of that, like the uptick of that, because I feel like before it gets like very daunting, and then right before it happens, it's like, oh,
yeah,
we're doing this again. I love that. But my low is that the week between Christmas and New Year's just goes so fast. Like I need another 3 days.
Mm-hmm. This is fair. It is really quick. And there's
really
always
quick.
The most to do, but also nothing to do.
Exactly. It's like such a fever dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. Let's see. So my meet cute of the week. Oh my God, it is a meet cute. It was Christmas. And we spent it was the first time I've spent Christmas with my dad's side of the family, like my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, because we just moved to Texas. They live in Texas. It's the first time it's ever happened. But my uncle just had a baby.
I love a new baby.
Mm-hmm, so I was able to meet him, and he's like the first baby in a long time. That side. And so everyone's like, oh, I don't hold newborns. But I was like, I do. So I just had a cuddle with a newborn for like 3
newborn
hours.
cuddles are like, they should bottle them up. It's like healing.
Really, truly, the way my body just like relaxed after that night. I just like felt so like happy, and just like, it's just the best. So that was my literal meet cute, because I met him. He's so cute, and I love him.
So cute.
Much. And my low would be that I didn't go to sleep until 6 o'clock
today
this morning. Because I was up finishing Game of Thrones. And come at me if you want, but that show sucked. I hated it. But I also loved it. But I really hated it. And I don't see the appeal.
I will never, ever, ever downplay any of your feelings ever. But I will say, you watching Game of Thrones is the most off-brand thing on earth.
I never watched it. This is why
if they drew a picture of their anti-target audience, it would be you.
Thank you.
It has everything you.
I really don't like it. I really did not like it. Season 1 started where I was like, maybe I would like this a little bit, because I like a little like romance, a little treachery, a little Jason Momoa, who again, peak Jason Momoa hotness, the hottest he's ever been. They gave him 1 season in 5 lines. Unforgivable. I
don't disagree.
Then they like end it with dragons, and like basically like Sansa and Arya, like all the Starks being like they can go on this like journey. And then we get to season 2 and like no Sansa, no Arya, no dragons. So it's like, what the fuck was the point of season 1? And season 2 we're not even gonna
because it's an epic. You have to be in it for the long game. You there's no instant gratification in epic fantasy.
No instant, no long term, no gratification.
No joy, no happiness, no peace.
All. And then they just
stress.
killing in random shit and random characters and a zombie army. And I just like, it was just really a lot for me. But I did finish, and I honestly would have never watched it. I like got through that first time what everybody was talking about all the time. Like no desire. And I blame this on Joe Jonas, because it was this last time when they broke up, and the references started again of the Queen of the North, and like the North remembers. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And so I had to give in, and I had to start it. And if I'm one thing, it's not a fucking quitter. And so once I started.
To your own detriment.
to my own detriment. It was a decision that I made and a lot of time that I put in that I cannot take back. And I did not like it, but I will probably watch House of the Dragon.
Which is insane also of you. At this point, it doesn't matter if you like it or not because you just want to feel bad.
I mean, truly, now I just have to be like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. So that might be my high and my low. I just finished the series. I saw Sansa become the Queen of the North. I saw Arya in one punch take down the guy that has apparently been antagonizing this entire planet for centuries.
Planet.
And she has one fight with him and kills him. They're just like, we don't know if he can die. Nobody's ever tried. We've just been running scared for centuries. War. And Arya's like, cool. I'll just run at him from behind and nobody will stop me.
If you can believe that Nick Cannon can throw away his college career 3 times and still end up with the girl, you can believe that Arya can defeat the White Walkers.
The ice zombies.
Okay. On that note, thank you for listening to the first episode of Obsessively Ever After. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed creating it.
Yeah, we're so excited. Thank you so much for listening.
You can follow us on Instagram at Obsessively Romance.
Send us your favorite rom-coms. Let us know what you think. And send us your takes. Please, we want to hear what you think of Nick Cannon as a romance hero. Would you cast him? Please.
Would you cast him? There is a right answer. There is definitely a right answer.
Yeah.
And don't forget to rate the show 5 stars if you loved it and leave us a review. We'll love you for that forever. You'll be rewarded in heaven. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.